Okay guys, we're going to go ahead and get started here. Thank you for joining us. My name is Bob Eyrig. I'm an application engineer in the Filter Systems group, and I also have with me Mike Wild, who's the group product manager for the Process and Filtration group. Today's webcast, generally speaking, we're going to discuss how Schroeder Systems and Process Filtration groups play a key role in industrial applications, specifically focusing on MRO markets. So what do we mean by MRO? Well, we mean maintenance, repair, and overhaul. As a definition, the essential requirement to ensure that machinery assets are maintained according to manufacturer-defined specifications, are repaired in the most practical, predictable, and cost-effective manner to minimize downtime, and are overhauled to maximize productivity, operating efficiency, and longevity. So basically what this boils down to is a way of maximizing machine productivity while minimizing costs, an essential thinking behind every organization, right? So how can Schroeder help accomplish this? Well, for today, we're going to be discussing two different product groups within the various product groups that we have, specifically filter systems and process and water filtration. Filter systems can be the mechanical and electronic, hydraulic fluid conditioning and diagnostic monitoring tools, and process and water filtration includes a full range of automated backflush and bag housing products. So when talking about filter systems, we're speaking of offline filtration for hydraulic systems, fluid conditioning and monitoring equipment with filter carts and particle counters, as well as dehydration equipment. Diving further into it, offline filtration for hydraulic systems, we mean the KLS, the KLD, and our custom X skids. With our filter carts, we mean the MFS, the MFD, the filtration station, as well as the asset management filtration station, and particle counters, more appropriately, conditioned fluid monitoring equipment. We're talking about the TCM, the HY-TRAX, the TMU, and the TWS. And finally, we're talking about the Dehydrators, which in our portfolio, we include the TDSA, the TDSE, and the SVD. So we truly do have filtration carts for every application. We have our standard carts, which viscosity range goes up to 1,000 SUS, and that includes our HFS BC, which is a portable handheld unit, our MFS, MFD units, as well as the MFD BC. These units range in a flow rates of 3 to 14 GPM. Our higher viscosity filter carts range up to 15,000 SUS and offer a 3 to 10 GPM flow rate. And these products include the MFD HV and the MFD MV. Our MFD and MFS units, there is a higher viscosity option up to 2,500 SUS. We can certainly provide more information on that at the end of this presentation if desired, and you can always reach out to us at any time to learn more about that. But that is an option for standard MFS and MFD carts. We also have a range of smart carts with fluid conditioning monitoring capability, and that includes the asset management filtration station, the filtration station, and the MFD with the HY-TRAX contamination monitoring equipment. Our smart carts range in a flow rate of 5 to 14 GPM, and all of our filtration cart units can be skid mounted upon request. We can tailor and design custom systems if the application requires it be so. So to dive into the MFD with the HY-TRAX mobile filtration system a little bit further, the HY-TRAX pump supplies an onboard contamination sensor with the necessary flow for accurate readings. We're one of only few competitors that have this technology and capability, and to be frank, ours is the best. It has the most capability over any of the competitors that have a similar product. This gives us real-time hydraulic oil cleanliness, shown on the onboard TCM contamination sensor. Generally speaking, as an ISO code, it can also do ISO and SAE or ISO and NAS. We have a retrofit kit option for MFS or MFD units that are already in the field. So if particle counting was desired, we can certainly provide a retrofit kit to make that possible on existing units. And it's worth noting that we do have a new option for the filter carts with the HY-TRAX contamination monitoring equipment. That is the CSI C11 sensor communication interface, which allows the user or the operator to view real-time data with the Flumos mobile app or easily connect sensors to a LAN network with an Ethernet patch cable. The Flumos mobile app is very interesting. We don't go into it too far in depth in this presentation, but again, if you'd like to learn any additional information there, we do have an introductory video online about the CSI C11 as well as the Flumos mobile app, and you can certainly ask us at any time or reach out to us at any time to learn more about that. With the CSI C11 option, it now gives us the ability to add a TWS water sensor to these cards, whereas before we could not. So you have the ability to measure particulate contamination and water saturation in a simple, compact, effective filter cart package. So let's discuss a filter cart application. This one is titled "The Schroeder Offers Filter Carts for a Large Utility Company." So, giving a background, a multi-fleet utility company with lift trucks was experiencing issues with fleet availability due to contamination-related hydraulic failures. Knowing that over 85% of hydraulic failures are caused by contamination, this customer collaborated with Schroeder for a solution. So what was the problem here? Well, the fleet's lift trucks had not been maintained on a regular schedule. They had water and contaminants in their hydraulic systems, which either caused the booms to freeze or function erratically. The breakdowns caused long delays in their ability to restore utility power systems. So the Schroeder solution, we worked with the customer to incorporate a maintenance schedule and deliver the Asset Management Filtration System, or the AMFS. With the AMFS, the fleet director and reliability manager had the data and resulting confidence to know that the trucks were maintained and the fluid was clean and dry, preparing them for the next storm. So this is a very sophisticated unit. It allows the operator or the company to track each asset or each vehicle or utility truck in this case by way of an onboard Excel spreadsheet, and that is per asset an Excel file is created, and for each maintenance or service administered on the asset, a new tab is generated with the corresponding service fluid conditioning monitoring data. So going further, we'll go ahead and discuss the contamination monitoring equipment offered at Schroeder. Our current contamination monitoring equipment portfolio includes the TCM, which is the Test-Mate Contamination Monitor, or basically a particle counter, operating a means of light obscuration, just like all of our competitors. Our unit's much more rugged and robust, and we also have the TSU, the Test-Mate Sensor Unit, which is a contamination monitoring system designed to measure particulate and water saturation in highly aerated systems. We have our TMU, Test-Mate Monitoring Unit, which is a portable contamination monitor for measuring particulate and water saturation, and this has an optional battery pack that can be purchased with it for true portable contamination monitoring. Additionally, we have the TIM Test-Mate Inline Unit, which is designed to handle higher viscosity fluids and darker fluids than our standard TCM, and that is by way of a fiber optic light obscuration technology. We also have our HY-TRAX sampling systems, the manually controlled system, and the telematics system. The manually controlled system, actually both systems are designed to work on hydraulic systems that are pressurized less than 50 psi, and that includes reservoirs that are unpressurized. Our manual version is, as you can imagine, manually controlled, that being the flow rates. Our telematics units automatically adjust the flow rate per the fluid condition and type. So that's very nice. And with the telematics, that transmits the data to an online dashboard where the company can look online in real time at the measurement data that the contamination sensors are producing. With this technology, you can also receive email alerts as well as text alerts. So moving on from that, we have our TWS, our water sensors, with and out the water display, and the measurement capability of that unit is relative humidity, so as a percentage, and these sensors also measure temperature as well in both Fahrenheit and Celsius. So we wanted to go ahead and offer a scenario contamination sensor application. This one involves real-time conditioning monitoring solution for one of our specialty distributors. They started working with a large automobile manufacturer on their hydraulic oil leakage and consumption. While reviewing the equipment, they noticed that kidney lube systems purchased from a competitor. Talking to the lubrication manager, they found out that the large quantity of element changes that they were doing per year. At the same time, the manufacturer could not get an ISO code at the most critical presses without bottle samples. So what's their problem here? Well, generally, how to monitor real-time ISO count at these reservoirs and how to reduce the number of element changes throughout the plant. Our solution, we trained and installed 4 testmate contamination monitors, or TCMs, on the most critical systems. This would provide the lubrication manager real-time monitoring without having to rely on bottle samples. We reviewed the elements and used and provided samples for their systems, and we changed the elements to Z media instead of the cellulose that was existing in some systems. As far as training, the customer and Schroeder are developing standards to train the entire 100-plus lubrication crew across the plant. So that's one instance where we provided a solution with contamination monitoring equipment as well as element solutions. So moving on, we'll briefly touch on dehydration for water removal, which our portfolio includes vacuum and positive pressure. The benefits of vacuum is you get both dewatering and degassing, and our products range from a flow rate of 1.3 GPM all the way up to 23 GPM on the vacuum dehydrators. We also have our positive pressure dehydrators, which are good for dewatering and particulate filtration. And that includes our Triton A and our Triton E dehydration systems. Again, our Triton A is a 1.5 GPM flow rate unit. And our Triton E traditionally was the 15 GPM, but we've recently added the 22 GPM, which seems to be the industry target, or a target flow rate for many industries, as well as the variable flow option, which gives an operator the opportunity to process fluids in many different reservoirs with a 3 to 15 GPM variable flow rate. So talking about MRO, a big problem for hydraulic systems, at least in pulp and paper, can be at the wet end of a paper mill machine, which brings us to our dehydration application, which is titled Schroeder offers Dehydrator for a large paper mill. The background on this application includes a large paper mill in Minnesota was looking for a system that could remove free and absorb water from an ISO 220 hydraulic oil and a paper machine with a constant water ingression issue, which is as common as you can imagine at the wet end of a paper machine. The problem, the customer spent a substantial amount of money on a competitor's 20 GPM system, only to find out that replacing the elements in these systems was a cost of $24,000 a year. The competitor's system was operational for 2 years and required monthly service intervals. The mill needed a system to maintain saturation levels below 50% saturation with minimal maintenance. Our solution, a 15 GPM Triton dehydration station, or the TDSE, from Schroeder Industries, was presented and implemented at the paper mill, which then took the place of the competitor's system. This unit was then able to remove water from the hydraulic system and maintain saturation levels below 50% saturation. So that's really the end of our product overview and how they can relate to MRO, at least for the filter systems group. In the final slide of this presentation, I just wanted to go ahead and go over the QuickDelivery program briefly. We do have many standard products that we had discussed in inventory that we can get out the door between 1 and 2 days for the filter carts and the sensors, and about 1 week for the dehydrators, but we could probably get them out less depending on the situation. So with that, I wanted to thank you for joining myself, at least for this portion, for the presentation. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Mike Wild to present the process and water filtration portion of this presentation.